This is a Samsung Galaxy S7, a phone that is now 8 years old. Is it possible to use this phone as a daily driver in 2024? On its stock OS, the one that came with the phone, technically yes, though it is, as you can see, just a little bit slow. And before we start, here are some basic specs. So this has a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED display. This is at 2560 by 1440p, which is actually pretty decent, at least the resolution. The size of the display is a little small, especially if you're used to a bigger phone, like most phones nowadays. And as you can see here, the phone, it's a little small. Anyway, continuing on with specs, this phone has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820, or it could have an Exynos 8890. This specific one is the Qualcomm version. These phones also had 4GB of RAM, which is decent for the time, actually above average for the time, I suppose. Storage is 32GB, which is expandable up to 200, which is something you don't really see nowadays. The rear camera is 12 megapixels, the front camera is 5 megapixels, and the battery is 3000 mAh. But nowadays, those 3000 mAh are more like 2100 maybe? This phone's last supported Android operating system was also 8.0 Oreo, and it does not receive any more updates. And also a bonus, it has IP68 water and dust resistance. And the camera, I can actually show you, I can kind of show you. You can't really see it through my S21, but well, as you can see, the phone is definitely slow, but the camera is actually surprisingly alright. But then again, this is a flagship Samsung phone, so most of the cameras for a lot of their phones are going to be okay. Anyway, here's a super basic speed test. So this is the S7, and this is a Galaxy S10e. It's an older phone from 2019, but it's actually surprisingly still very fast in 2024. So let's just do a little test of just a few social media apps like TikTok. As you can see, obviously the S10 wins. I can actually just get into the app already and just do things. Still waiting on the Still waiting. Look there. Maybe. It's black. Wow, it's black. Oh, there we go. It's black with colors now. It's okay, still dark black, you know. It's really trying. It used to be able to load TikTok before they added the shop and all these features. Now it really can't. It tries, and I think it does eventually if you're willing to wait more than a minute, which it currently has been. And it's not even trying to play the video anymore. It's not working anymore. I'm just gonna not. If you're trying to use this phone for TikTok, you cannot. Okay, now that test really kind of shows you how slow the S7 is in 2024, but just to show you kind of again, here's Instagram, which is an app that kind of runs on everything, but as you can see, the S10e is already in the app. I'm already using the app and stuff like that, and it's working perfectly fine. And the S7 does actually load it, and it does actually work surprisingly well. It is a little slow, obviously, because it's a slower phone, it's older, but it does work perfectly fine. Oh my god, it's receiving a whole crap load of messages already. Well, it does work, as you can see there. Even with the loading of all those messages, it works perfectly fine, aside from the occasional stuttering here and there. And here's YouTube playing in 1440p, and it's actually working perfectly fine, but like Instagram, the UI is a little slow, but actually playing the videos and actually using the app, it does work perfectly fine. And it does actually load pretty fast. I didn't show it because I thought it was going to be slow, but it actually took about 10 seconds to load into the app, which was alright, actually. Overall, the phone is slow, and when you compare it to something like this 2019 S10e, which is the lower tier S10 line phone, it is terribly slow and basically unusable. I think it's even slower than this A32 I have right here, which is a low range Samsung device. So something I'm probably going to end up doing to this phone is custom ROMing it like I did with this phone, which is running Lineage OS, and it has Android 11 on it. And this is a Galaxy Note 4, and it runs perfectly fine. And this phone is quite a few years older than this S7, so if this can run Android 11, this phone could probably run Android 13 or even 14 perfectly fine. But as far as I can tell, the slowness is actually just coming from, TouchWiz and just the overall UI not being designed to support newer things, which is why a newer operating system that is better optimized for older hardware usually works a lot better, which is why it works really well on this phone. So yeah, overall the basic phone, not very useful. I mean, it is pretty cool to own, just have, but otherwise, if you really, really, really had to, technically you could, but I don't think I can recommend it. Unless you can get it for $10 and just use it temporarily for a week, it's not really worth it. Even the battery, it's you'd have to replace the battery because it's terrible. It's also micro USB, and it's just also really small. I mean, it's just kind of not worth it. Anyway, have a good day, night, or whatever it is, and yeah.